Wow. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Bros Talking Soccer Podcast, episode 84, YouTube viewers. My name is Dave Knittel. This is my lovely wife, Kristin, who will be joining us for a little bit. I have Kristin here and DJ Fluck from Stadium Scene. DJ, say hello so people can get a look at you.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be.
All right. So there's DJ Kristin. Say hello.
Hello.
There's Kristin. And
a few words.
Would you like to say anything?
That's okay.
Okay. All right. She has nothing to say. That's all right. So
that counts.
Yeah, we are recording live on YouTube as we go along here. Please feel free to interact with us as I'm going along. I have the chat feature up in the background, and yeah, we're going to run through the podcast and got a lot of interesting things to talk about. And so, let's get right to it. All right, you guys ready? Any questions?
None. I am so ready.
All right, that is fantastic. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Bros Talking Soccer Podcast, episode 84. My name is Dave Knittel. I am here with my brother, Kristin. Matt is off cleaning, apparently, allegedly cleaning. We're still not sure on that. But we are also joined by DJ Fluck from Stadium Scene and my wife, Kristin Knittel, from my household. She's going to be here for a little bit. Actually, I should say your household, right?
Yeah, she's the breadwinner. Don't
yeah, right now, yeah, it's her household. I'm just here for the bride. DJ, how are you doing today?
Oh, I just realized that Gretzky jersey hanging behind me is really crooked, and it's really bothering me. I'm going to have to fix that later today.
All right. Well, that's good. Beyond that, I'm glad you're doing well. How are the twins?
They're doing well. They woke me up at 12:30 last night screaming, and I thought it was 5 a.m. I'm like, all right, time to feed. And I'm like, wait, it's 12:30. I just went to bed an hour ago. So
you got the energy drink.
Got the Kickstarter from Mountain Dew. They want to sponsor this show.
Yes, we would love that. Mountain Dew, please reach out. Can you tell us a little bit about Stadium Scene?
Yeah, sure. So when we started Stadium Scene, stadiumscene.com, now it's stadiumscene.tv. Everyone who listens to the show has heard the ads, and we appreciate the shout outs every week. We started stadiumscene.com originally as the kind of unwritten travel guide for sports fans. And Kristin's making faces at me, trying to get me to crack up. Not going to work. You want to do this? You want to do this? You want to get in the stare down? No. Anyway, we realized building an audience from scratch when you're a nobody sucks. It's hard. We built StadiumScene.tv as a blog to kind of drive our traffic to our site, and we realized this sucks. I mean, nobody's reading us. We're getting nowhere, and there's a lot of people out there in the sports blogging world, podcasting world, having the same problem. They put out probably content as good or better than, these professionals. And we decided, we should team up. Let's team up with people. That's why we team up with Bros Talking Soccer, the Soccer Tavern, our friends over at the Lads Podcast. We have, I think, 19 partners now. And we're hoping to drive them into our central hub and push them out and check out all the great content on the internet that you'd normally be missing. So that's what we do.
Yep, and we will have Stadium Scene linked in the podcast show notes, as well as Twitter and where you can find them on social media. Kristin, how you doing today?
I am just dandy, Dave. I'm ready to go. I hope this podcast isn't as long as the one yesterday.
I don't think there's any way it could possibly be as long as yesterday, but a lot of great content in both of them, so you want to listen to both of them. Kristin, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. We just took a walk outside. It was beautiful. Great way to start our day.
Got a green juice. Nice. Yeah, got a green juice. Got some sun. Yeah, we're just living the Cali life, just loving it, All right. Before we get to our topics this week, usually I give a plug for StadiumScene.tv, but for now, DJ, would you like to,
Absolutely. Thanks, Dave. So StadiumScene.tv, we partner, as I just said, with the best up-and-coming independent blog, podcast, and video producers on the internet through our StadiumScene.tv network. If you're listening, there's probably a good chance that you are struggling as a blogger, podcaster, or video producer yourself. So give us a follow over at Stadium Scene on Twitter, at Stadium Scene on Facebook, Stadium_Scene on Instagram. Join our network. Be a part of us. Help us grow with you.
Absolutely. So you should definitely go check it out. There's so many people producing so many different and awesome pieces of content. So you definitely want to go check that out. Anyone who is fairly new but has listened to the show in the past, we have a new format. And so, Kristin, I'm going to kick it over to you for Kristin's Corner.
All right, here we go. Kristin's Corner. Welcome back. The second time we are introducing Kristin's Corner. And I'm going to start off with a trivia question since Dave didn't mention it.
Yes,
so I guess that's my first thing to do today. The trivia question I'm going to do is single games. Do you guys know what the highest and the lowest attendance were for Premier League games? So this is the Premier League era, and how many people were at each of those?
All right, so we will think on that and give the guesses at the end.
Yes, absolutely. So let's hop right into the first topic here so that Kristin can get on her merry way. I'm going to start here with Hector Bellerin from Arsenal just announced that he's going vegan. So he's changing his diet to try and help his performance. So in my opinion, I'm going to start with Kristin, actually, so we can get a little bit more of an expert view on this because I really don't know much about diets. But so what do you think that this actually does to a person in terms of athletic performance?
Yeah, great question. So first, Christian, question back to you. Why do you think that this is news?
Because it was on the news site that I go to.
Okay. All right. We'll go with that. Okay. So laying some groundwork. Are we all on the same page about what a vegan diet is and the fact that you are not eating anything that comes from animals, so specifically meat, and then also anything that animals produce, so dairy, even if it doesn't harm the animal, but anything that that animals produce. So the benefits of the diet depend on where the athlete is coming from. So what is Hector Bellerin eating right now? Did he say any of that? Was any of that in the article?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so just from looking up some pictures, he looks like he is pretty athletic, but in his case, because you're running, 8 to 10 miles per game and then more in practice, it is very possible that he is out exercising a bad diet, which the vast majority of the rest of us can't do, but I would say soccer players likely could do. I believe, Dave, you've mentioned to me before that there are some athletes who will eat Skittles and just
Derek Rose.
Yeah.
Used to just live on gummy bears or gummy worms or something like that. And Lamar Odom was another one.
Yeah. He did.
Well, I can't think of what his name is, but the guy from Seattle, the running back who...
Marshawn Lynch?
Yeah, he used to eat Skittles all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, depending on if that's where they're coming from, obviously those candy, as delicious as they can be, they have very little nutritional value, and they're not helping to build strong muscles and a strong body to be able to play soccer and withstand all of the inflammatory effects of playing so often. So even though exercise is amazing, when you exercise as much as these guys do, your body naturally produces inflammation. Eating plants, which a vegan diet emphasizes a lot more plants, eating a lot more plants helps reduce that inflammation, basically helping your body work better and play longer. So that is one of the biggest benefits of going vegan. Go ahead, Christian. You look like you had a question.
I did have a question, but I know Tom Brady cut out certain vegetables from his diet because they're inflammatory as well.
No strawberries.
So, strawberries.
Yeah, he cut out nightshades.
He does a lot of
that. So there's a class of or a grouping of vegetables that are called nightshades, and those vegetables only for certain people can have negative impacts and basically cause additional inflammation. For others, they're tolerated just fine.
Never knew that. All right.
Yeah. So the diet piece is very individual. So I would say the only thing that Hector Bellerin needs to make sure, and it's more based on his body type, and he should just keep in mind to see how he feels, is there are good sources of B vitamins, which is basically you can think of it as the energy vitamin from all different types of plants. You can get these B vitamins except for B12. B12, there is no great source of plant B12. So B12, he should likely take an activated B12 supplement or an all-in-one shake. Other than that, as long as he's still feeling good, then there should be no issues with him being on a vegan diet. But some people go vegan and then they need to actually add meat back in because they're not feeling great. So
you don't think that there's any risk of performance, just drop off from not getting your protein from meat? Because I know there's a real risk of that happening.
Depends on his body type. So different bodies, your body can actually manufacture a little bit of its own B12. And it depends on what he's eating as well. So you can be a vegan and you can eat pizza and Oreos. So you can very easily, and actually pizza, beer, and Oreos, all of those. And if you make If you make pizza with vegan cheese, then you can be a very unhealthy vegan. So it all depends on what kind of vegan he is.
Okay, interesting. So I know you were talking about B vitamins. Those are ones that also affect your memory and your brain, right?
Yes, cognition.
Yes. Yeah. Is that B12 specifically or no?
There are a few different vitamins that would affect cognition. B12, the B vitamins are one of them, though.
Okay. So you really don't think that there's any problem with this? You don't think that he's going to affect his? Anyone else can also speak up when you're ready. Just so you know,
DJ, you're just making me feel horrible about my diet. I have some pizza waiting for me downstairs. No, I don't want it anymore.
So yeah, no, I mean, for me, I mean, like Chris said, I think it's all about just monitoring and seeing how he feels and, how his body responds to all of that. So there are risks, but it's just more in the sense of like making sure he continues to eat properly and monitor everything. He's a professional athlete. Arsenal is going to have all of the medical staff and do all the testing, I'm sure, to keep monitoring him. So I don't think it's a huge deal. I mean, you hear it with NFL players. Demaryius Thomas, I think, went in an all vegan diet to, try to extend his career. Other athletes have done this. You see, on social media and Instagram, all natural bodybuilders and vegan bodybuilders and athletes. Like it's not like the old days where you had to eat, milk and steak as much as Jim Harbaugh may believe that. There are,
just don't eat chicken.
Yeah, just don't eat chicken. That's what it is. Yeah. Do you know about that?
No.
Yeah. So the Michigan head football coach recently told one of his players, that they shouldn't eat chicken because it's a nervous bird. Yeah, I thought you'd like that. So that's just kind of where I stand on this. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, no, I mean, any diet, the majority of the diet should be plants, and then whatever you put around that, that's great, whether that's vegan or animal protein.
Okay. So do you think that you take vitamins to make up for what you're missing from I guess, animal products?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say activated B12 or like an all-in-one shake that has those B vitamins in there would help to supplement.
Yeah, and it's so easy, especially we test ourselves with the internet and companies these days. We can get tests in the mail and prick our finger and send a blood sample in, and we know all of our levels of all that stuff. So I'm sure these professional athletes have things like that. So it's easy to do.
All right. Anybody else have anything they want to mention on this topic?
Actually, okay. I just thought of something. So as part of the vegan diet, not just the no meat eating, you also go into the no dairy as well. I know a lot of athletes are big into milk and, go and put themselves in the ad for milk. What would be a good substitute for this? What do you think is, the most common substitute for milk for an athlete like this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So milk has been touted as having a lot of protein, a lot of calcium. There are other, whether plant-based milk, so like a nut milk, like an almond milk or a coconut milk or macadamia nut milk, so many different nuts have milks made out of them now. We actually have cashew milk and coconut milk in our fridge. They actually some of them have more calcium and more protein than regular dairy milk, and they don't come with the potential negative ramifications of the cows being fed hormones. So that would be a good alternative if they even need it, or they could ramp up any of their other fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, even legumes like beans, so that they could get those same nutrients.
All right. Wow, that was a good answer. Jeez.
So, had that one ready to go. And just so everybody knows, we're not vegan or anything like that. Like Chris said, we just try to eat mainly fruits and vegetables, and then we definitely still have eggs, meat, and all that stuff. But that's just kind of our thoughts and perspective here.
Okay. So would you actually recommend a vegan diet to somebody, or would you recommend more of a balanced diet like you guys do with adding meat in there?
Yeah, it really depends on the person. And if someone for spiritual, religious, ethical reasons wants to go on a vegan diet, there's definitely a way to do it. Some bodies will have a harder time with it than others. And I feel like both Dave and I are interested in, and we feel a little bit better when we do have some meat in our diet, specifically for the B12. And I know for me, I also have low iron levels if I don't supplement or am not really careful about my diet. So definitely feel a little bit better when I eat meat, but everybody is a little bit different. So I've seen people who are on a vegetarian or a vegan diet and their hair is brittle. Their face looks a little bit sunken. So it really just try it if you are feeling so compelled. Try it. It's a great way to move, but you don't have to be completely vegan. You can also be predominantly plant-based, and that does a lot for both your body and also the planet. So
yeah, really watch out for those scary fish people.
I like steak.
Oh, okay. DJ, Dave, Kristin, anything else you want to add?
I'm good.
I don't think
All
so.
right.
I'm
Thank
good
you,
on my end.
Kristin, for stopping by Christian's Corner. We really appreciate you coming by, and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
can't believe episode 84, which is really, I think we're on, 126 or whatever, because all the episodes this is the first one Kristin's actually been on. So really appreciated you being here. Hopefully it won't be another 84 before we get you back.
Of
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
He said have a good day.
All right, so let's dive into a little bit more soccer-specific topics. So, Dave, are you still there?
I am.
Okay, sorry, you
Hello.
disappeared. I want to highlight the MLS All-Star Game first. So I know Dave's going to go into a little bit more of a specific topic that happened during the game later. But for Christian's Corner, which I will just keep bringing up because it's the greatest, I'm going to highlight the game as a whole and whether we think that it's actually necessary or if we should change the format a little bit. So this year they played against Juventus. It's the best players in MLS are all voted in, or the coach, I think, makes specific selections as well. And they set up a team to play against a European giant pretty much every single year. Do you think that it would benefit them to both, or to do an East and West the way that other leagues do? Or do you think that this is more of a highlight? It draws more attention because it draws a European crowd watching. I know that there's a lot of different things, but I'll go to DJ first here. And what do you think that needs to be done to either draw attention, or do you think that it's done well?
I personally, I'll just go on record. I'm not really a big fan of this setup. I think it's very gimmicky, and I don't think it really proves much of anything. I mean, I can go into that later, but I was kind of scanning around Twitter, which I love doing, just because you get a good feel of what society is thinking as a whole. Wasn't really a lot of comments on here, especially from the European side. Time change, it's probably middle of the night, early morning. I don't think people really give a crap to wake up at 5 a.m. to watch the MLS All-Stars versus the Juventus B team. I don't care for this. I think it doesn't show anything. You've got the Juventus B team playing against the best of the MLS, who don't normally play together for the most part, who don't have any chemistry other than a couple days of practice, if that. It doesn't do anything for me. Honestly, there's talk going around of having a Liga MX All-Star versus MLS All-Star. I would much rather see that because it's more of a even ground. At least you're taking players that don't play with each other and putting them up against players that don't play with each other. And that would probably give maybe a little bit better idea of how the leagues are doing. I mean, you hear this, Liga MX is better than MLS. We have no real way of proving it other than, the match here or there.
All right, Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, well, just on that point, I mean, they have CONCACAF Champions League, which Liga MX has just absolutely dominated. So, I think that they definitely hold the cards there. I think at one point this served a purpose and served to get the league more exposure. At this point, MLS is pretty well known. I think it's on television in something like 100 countries. Like you said, we're not attracting any new fans from Europe as a result of this game. It tends to be very gimmicky. But again, I think it serves a role, and I think they should steer more into kind of that gimmicky thing. Back in the day, I saw on Twitter, they used to have like skills competitions with, like target practice, and I think they played like soccer, tennis, or soccer volleyball. They had like a dribbling contest and all that. I think they should bring all of that back, make it a really big event. Right now, it's just crammed midweek into the season. Like, make it an entire weekend, take a week off. Have events around it. I'm completely on board with you. I think Liga MX versus MLS All-Stars, and then you have a young Liga MX, young MLS All-Stars type of thing, because this year they did the homegrown game, and it was, again, the homegrown All-Stars versus a Tigres U20 team, which, again, is a team they play together. I think it makes more sense if you can have those kind of that rivalry, which is already built in between MLS and Liga MX, and just kind of really steer into that and really just, own it as kind of like gimmicky and fun.
Do you think that it's more of a MLS versus Liga MX game would benefit more than doing it East versus West, where one of the team that wins gets the final or something like that?
I do not
add an actual competition into that.
Yeah,
no?
I do not like that because
Major League Baseball did the whole All-Star Game matters, and just people railed on it for years, and they finally got rid of it after about 10, 12 years of doing it. It just seems cheesy.
And because it totally takes away from like Atlanta United, who's crushing it this year. If the West All-Stars happen to beat the MLS or the East All-Stars, and like Atlanta, wins by 10 points the Supporters Shield, like they shouldn't be penalized because they crushed it. But then, like, I don't know, they just didn't win the All-Star Game. I don't agree with that one.
Okay, because so you think of it more as a tradition game than an actually game that should be taken seriously.
Yeah, like I was saying, like just make it fun, make it a celebration, make it, if you want to make it, I don't know, gimmicky might have a negative connotation, and I don't mean it to be. I just say like make it fun, right? Like just make it a celebration, like, and just like it doesn't have to be so serious. Right now, they try to make it serious, and that's where it almost like it's not, and like that's where it falls down on its face for me.
I'm definitely on board with the MLS versus Liga MX. I think that would be a really, really entertaining game. And I agree with you that it should be a whole weekend. I think they should bring back those skill games, kind of make it like how the FIFA skill games are. That would be really cool to see. And they could kind of combine in with that just to increase exposure, and it would make it really, really fun. DJ, you got anything else you want to add on the MLS game?
Nope, that's it for me.
All right, Dave.
The Liga MX president apparently came out and said like he kind of was almost in favor of this. So, and Don Garber, the MLS commissioner, also hinted at him being in favor. So it could even be like next year or the year after that they do something like Liga MX versus MLS. That would be awesome.
That would be definitely.
On a minor side note, I've noticed our local Fox Sports station here in Arizona, they're actually starting to pick up the Tijuana club from Liga MX and show their games on the weekends, sometimes live, sometimes tape delayed. But I thought that was kind of strange that, it seems like, obviously we don't have an MLS team yet. We're trying for it, if you can see the badge on my jersey here. But I think it's kind of weird that there's more emphasis from the local Fox station to try to push Liga MX over trying to build an MLS team down here. So I don't know, is this happening all over the country? Have you guys seen anything on your local stations on Liga MX, or is it just because I'm 3 hours from the border?
I have not seen anything up here.
Yeah, I think it depends on where you are. I mean, I definitely have seen it being in the Bay Area in California. I'm certain they push it hard in the LA area just because of the demographics of those areas. I think they push it more in those.
Yeah, I know my friend who lives in Dallas was telling me that they have a lot of that Liga MX games on there. So, it just depends where you are. And in Philadelphia, we definitely don't have that. Anybody else? We good? All right, moving along here. So they introduced some new rule changes into the Premier League this year. The FA took charge of that, and I think it's going to be really interesting and I want to highlight one specifically here. So they're actually going to be giving out cards to managers. I'm pretty sure this used to be a rule and they got rid of it, and now they're introducing it back in. This is not a FIFA change. I want that to be known. This is specific to the FA and the Premier League right now. So what do you think this is going to mean? Because I was seeing what the penalties are. Like if you get, I think it's every 3 games that you get, or every 3 cards you accumulate, you get a certain suspension. Do you think that this is actually going to help in the argument stage? Like, I know Mourinho's had issues with the referees in the past. Arsene Wenger used to. He's not there anymore, so whatever. And I don't know if these warnings that they give them are going to just be straight yellow cards now, or if they're still going to be doing warnings. Dave, what do you think about this rule change?
So for me, I think it's all going to be in how it's enforced. I think so you're saying if they get 3 yellow cards, they might be suspended?
For a game, for being on the sideline, yeah.
So it's all about how that's enforced. It's meaning like, when are yellow cards given? Is it the first time? So instead of a referee coming over and just warning them, I guess it would just be shown a yellow card. And then if he comes over again, they're sent to the stands. I always felt like that process has always been really weird and interesting, where it seems to be subjective a lot of times. So the fact that they are able to now show yellow and red cards, I kind of like that. Now, 3 yellow cards, again, seems like a low amount, but it's all going to be dependent on what it takes to get a yellow card. So for me, it's tough to really comment until I see maybe some more specifics around it.
Yeah, because they're doing yellow cards and red cards now. So I guess it depends what happens between the manager and the referee, or how they're reacting on the sidelines. And I don't know if this takes place with how they're actually directing towards the referee, or I know there's a lot of arguing with the 4th official. So this is where it becomes a little bit of a gray area.
Yeah, and just one more question. Is it only for managers, or is it the bench, like players and or like staff?
This says managers,
okay,
so I don't think staff can be, but staff could still be just sent to the stands. DJ, what do you think about this?
This just reminds me in the last several years of hearing Arlo White on NBC going, "We think Jose has been sent to the stands. He's no longer there. Yes, he's been sent to the stands." It seems like on a broadcast, if it's so quiet about it that you have to wait to see if a manager disappears from the bench to see if he's been told to go away. I mean, I like it just from the fact that we know that he's in trouble now. It's more obvious that he's in trouble, but you kind of stole my one-liner a little earlier that I think this rule year too late, because it's there's really 2 managers that this would apply to, and that's Jose and that's Wenger, and he's gone now. So I like it.
So I was just rereading the article a little bit, and this is embarrassing, but it will not be shown in the Premier League. It's only in the other leagues in England. But it also will be shown in the FA Cup and the League Cup. So it will still affect Premier League managers. And the way that it works is, I mean, it's still relevant because they could like it and they bring it up. So the Premier League isn't the end all be all here. There are other leagues in the world. I know it's
good. Now it's every article. I admit I didn't read the articles, down to the last paragraph. But every article I saw, every single article had a picture of Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, they all did. This one did too. That's why
it's literally the Jose rule, but it's not going to be enforced again. How does that make sense?
Well, not in the league, but he can still get it in the cups. And the way that it works is if you get 4 stage 1 warnings, which are yellow cards, it's a 1-match ban. If you get 2 over the season, or 8 over the season, it's a 2-match ban. And then 12 is 3. And then says if you reach 16, you go through a disciplinary board. So I don't know how, that's a lot to get for a manager. So that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know if you really have anything else you wanted to add, but I think it's an interesting rule. And I'm interested to see how it works in the Championship, League 1, League 2, and in the Cups, to see how the referees handle the situations, because tensions are high. Obviously, managers get frustrated with decisions, but is it going to be initially just a yellow card, just a red card, or is it still a warning type of situation?
Yeah, I like it. I like the idea. I'm interested to see how it's implemented, but I'm in favor of it.
Okay, cool. DJ, anything else?
I'm good.
All right, so we're going to wrap up this Christian's Corner here. I hope everybody enjoyed their stay, and I can't wait till next week where you get to join us again. But I think the next section is DJ, correct? He's the middle section today. So you're going to hear a little bit of a musical break here, and then Dave will be back to introduce him again, and then DJ will take over. So enjoy.
All right, good stuff. I've started this a little late, so we were a little bit long there, but not too bad, and I think it went really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Discussion,
very
right?
informative.
Yeah. The vegan discussion went really well. Thank you, hon.
I almost decided to
that beef jerky over there.
Pull out a piece of beef jerky, but
Oh
then,
my God.
but then, what we would have learned later, and I'm like, it'd be really good video if I could take a bite out of it and then show you the package to show you that it's actually Beggin strips for dogs.
So DJ,
but I'm not going to eat dog food live on video, especially my first video podcast. I think eating dog.
So I just want to tell Chris real quick. So DJ had what looked like jerky right next to him. He wanted to hold it up and eat it while you were talking about being vegan, but then it turns out it's Beggin strips for dogs. Oh, that's great stuff. All right. Good stuff. That is fantastic. That will make
This would
for
have been
a great outtake.
This should be the podcast name. You should just throw it in anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it can be because it's going to be. I'm going to put it in the outtakes at the end because
Yeah.
I always put in outtakes.
Oh, well then, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe. What are we? I guess begging strips. Yeah. Whatever. We'll talk about
internet rumor eats dog food.
All right. Cool. I will start this time and start it on time, and then I'll welcome everybody back and then kick it over to you, DJ. Does that sound like fun? Welcome back, everyone, to our second segment. DJ is going to be leading this. So, DJ, over to you.
Thanks, Dave. So we're going to go ahead and start this segment. Since Kristin had a fun little pun name for his title, I'm going to go ahead and call this segment DJ's Dive. So there you go. All right. So going back to All-Star Game, we're going to dig into this a little bit more in depth. And, you know, I've seen a variety of articles reviewing it from, hey, the MLS held their own. Oh, the MLS embarrassed themselves against the Juventus reserve team. And it made me think, how good or bad is the MLS? I mean, you constantly hear pundits all over the world say MLS is the retirement league. It's a second-tier league, third-tier league, depending on who you ask. But I want to know, if you take the best team in MLS and stick them in the Premier League, based on last year's results, where do you think they would finish? Do you think they're a top 4 team? I don't think so. Do you think they're middle tier? Do you think they're going to get relegated down to the championship? I don't know. I'm going to go to Dave. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think maybe we'll establish maybe Atlanta United is probably the most talented MLS team right now. I guess you could have theoretically have Toronto from last year. They're not doing well this year, but maybe one of those two teams. I think that they would be a lower to mid-tier team. I think that they would fight in relegation. I think that especially those two teams in particular have enough quality to potentially avoid relegation, but they would be in a dogfight for for most of the season. Now, the only thing about it is England, the season is so long and grueling, and with MLS, the lack of depth in the rosters, it's improving. But I think what would happen is if there are any injuries, I think the MLS side would really, really struggle because they just don't have the ability to spend that, Premier League teams do. So I think that that's where, the issue would come into play.
So I'm going to dig in and show you a little bit of little stats here, dropping some stats from soccerstats.com. Thank you very much for this info.
Right.
So from relegation territory to 10th place was only separated by 13 points last year. I mean, and you look at Crystal Palace, who finished in 11th. They didn't score a goal in their first 7 games. They beat Chelsea 2-1 in their 8th game, and then they lost 2 out of their next 3. And scored a total of 4 goals in the first 11 out of 38 games. And they still finished 11th. I mean, it's just, and Zaha was a big reason why. I mean, he's pretty much the catalyst of that team, and he was not there for a good chunk of the year. And they were clearly a different team with him versus without him. But I mean, in my mind, that's pretty pathetic. I'm a little bit higher on Atlanta United. I think they're a very talented team. I mean, their goalkeeper, Brad Guzan, has played in the Premier League for a few years. I would put them somewhere around 10th or 11th. And I know it's a little aggressive. I think it really drops off very quickly after Atlanta United. But honestly, based on how crappy the bottom half of the table was, I think they could probably squeak out ahead of Crystal Palace or maybe even ahead of Newcastle, who at times was pretty bad last year.
Yeah. For me, it's just what I think if you match up talent for talent, the both rosters, again, with the best players, I think Atlanta could go toe-to-toe with some of those teams. But for me, over the course of the season, you're going to get injuries, and that's why, I kind of said what I did. Kristin, do you have any thoughts here?
Oh, no. No one wanted to talk to me, so I was just going to sit here. I think you're a little bit crazy saying that they could finish that high. I think that they would absolutely be in a relegation fight the entire season for the exact reason Dave just highlighted. Me and Dave go back and forth on this all the time, where the money in MLS isn't in the mid-level players and their rosters. You have to build those, not the top-tier players. We have some of those already. It's building up the rest of the squad and the depth, and they don't have that. Any injuries to a top player, and that team would just absolutely collapse against the Premier League giants and any mid-level team in the Premier League. I think they would really, really struggle, and I think they would be probably favorited to go down if they were in the Premier League right now.
I don't know if they would be favorited, so I just wanted to throw that out. I don't think they would be favorited to go down, but they would be in a fight. And again, they do, like, Joseph Martinez could play in the Premier League. Miguel Almiron could play in the Premier League. Ezequiel Barco, as he continues to grow, I mean, he's got the talent to, potentially play there in the next year or two. Guzan could play in a lower level team. Again, I'm not saying they could play for Liverpool or Manchester United, but they could play for Brighton. Like, they could play for a team at that level. But then you have...
But you're saying three players.
Michael Parker. Exactly. Exactly. They have the talent to compete. But, I mean, like, Michael Parkhurst is 34. Like, he's a very serviceable, good player. He played in the Champions League, I think, with in Denmark when he was in Denmark, and then played in the Bundesliga. Like, he's a very experienced player, but I think he's maybe a little bit past his prime. So, for me, that's kind of where I fall down. DJ, sorry.
Oh, no. Where was I going to go with this? I actually pulled some stats. We'll go in the next part of this segment. I'll throw some numbers at you. This is it's pretty interesting. Like, you clearly see there is a strong cutoff once you get down to about 7th or 8th out of the European tournament positions. It drops off really fast. But and obviously the MLS structure is completely different. They don't have the depth of academies, the U23, the U18, whatever they all are, that they can just go and poach players who could walk in tomorrow and play first team reps. It just the MLS is not that deep. So I absolutely agree with you there. So second part of this is looking at it more of a short-term way. So if you went and did a 2-leg Champions League style knockout round, who's the first team in the table they would beat? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start at the top of the table. I think we're going to get through the first several of these very quickly. Where do they win one, and who do they knock out based on aggregate score? So we're going to go and start with the champion last year, Manchester City. Is anyone going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say they beat Manchester City in either leg?
No.
I'm going to go with no as well.
That's a good call. Do you think the score is less than 5-0 in each leg?
Yes.
In each leg, I think City
both
could.
Legs, yes.
Yeah, I think City could win 5-0 on aggregate. Potentially more, but I don't think both legs. I don't think they're winning by 10-0 on aggregate.
See,
I think they could, but
they could. Yeah,
they could.
Would just bunker and just
call out the dogs. Call off the dogs rather. So, fun fact: last year, Manchester City actually went 16-2-1, both home and away, in their crazy season.
It's pretty crazy that they lost that one game at Anfield. Remember that?
That was brutal. The other thing I like I respect the hell out of Pep. But when he loses, oh man, the look on his face when he's walking off the field every time, just watch that the next time he loses. He might have to wait a while, but when he walks off the field, it looks like he's dying inside when he walks off. And for someone that, has never liked any team he's ever managed, I enjoy seeing it every time and would love to see it more. So moving on, number 2, Manchester United, any chance?
No.
So no personal bias there. I agree with you there. Manchester United last year went 15-2-2 at home. They went 10-4-5 away. So number 3, Spurs.
No.
See, I told you this is going to be really easy. Spurs went 13-4-2 at home, 10-4-5 away. Moving down to 4th, Liverpool.
No way.
No.
Absolutely no chance.
Liverpool actually went unbeaten at home. They went 12-7-0. They went 9-5-5 away. With a lot of those were earlier in the season. Number 5, Chelsea.
No.
I want to say yes so badly, but no.
Chelsea went 11-4-4 at home, 10-3-6 away. This is going to be an interesting one. I know how it's going to go, but it's when we break it down. Arsenal.
No.
Game would be much closer than the other 5 so far, but no.
I would say Arsenal would beat them, Arsenal would cruise at home, but when they would play the away match, and let's perfect world, forget jet lag, other side of the world. I would think Arsenal would have a tough time. They'd still win, but I think it would be a lot closer than any of the teams above them. Arsenal went 15-2-2 at home last year. They went 4-4-11 away.
Yeah, and
are we taking into account are we going in or taking into account current squads or as of last year?
I'm going off of last year's squads.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, last year's squads for the Prem and then this year for Atlanta, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
but that's an interesting point because like Atlanta, so the Premier League team, it's not just in a vacuum. They have to come to 70,000 seater stadium in Atlanta, play on turf where they're not familiar playing. So there is definitely a home field advantage for Atlanta, but I'm still no on Arsenal.
And going down, we're getting into the bottom of the Europa League here. Burnley.
So for me, it's still a no, but that's more because of the way Burnley plays, and Atlanta needs a game wide open, and Burnley's just not gonna play. And so for Atlanta to be effective, they need the game to get stretched a bit more, and they're just not going to be able to do that against Burnley.
Yeah, so I'm not. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm not really high on Burnley, but they are really, really solid defensively, and Sean Dyche has done a great job at getting the best out of what he has because he doesn't have a big budget, and he's pretty much told everybody what his budget is. So I think that Atlanta would be really good in attack, but the way that Burnley plays, Dave highlighted that spot on. They just would struggle to break them down.
So before we get to Everton, Burnley went 7-5-7 at home. They scored on average 0.84 goals a game. On the road, they went 7-7-5, and they scored 1.05 goals per game. So they're actually a better offensive team on the road.
Interesting.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so down to Everton, who about as bipolar of a club as any.
So for me, again, no, I don't think that they would get by them. It's still a no for me.
I mean, if Sam Allardyce is still in charge, you never know what could happen, but still going with no.
Sam Allardyce was in charge, it'd be 0-0, and then Sam would try to counterattack in the 85th minute and then give up a goal and lose. So
yeah, or go to penalties and being the English manager, they'd lose that game.
Everton went 10-4-5 at home, scoring a goal and a half a game. They went 3-6-10 on the road and a 0.84 goals a game. So Ronald Koeman was fired in late October of last year, and Big Sam was hired on 11/30. So they lost 8 of their first 25 matches. They lost 7 of their first 13 matches under Koeman, the caretaker manager. They lost 8 of their 25 remaining matches under Big Sam. All right, number 9, Leicester City.
No, I like the Leicester team. They would allow the game to maybe get a little bit more stretched, so there's an opportunity there. But I still favor Leicester. They're very talented, more talented than Atlanta.
Absolutely agree. I think that Leicester would see that one out, but again, Dave keeps going first. But that game would be.
You got to jump in.
Would
just
be
get after
very,
it.
very, very open. Both of them play that style.
That would be fun. I think that might be one of the most fun matchups.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Leicester went 7-6-6 at home and 5-5-9 away. But from a goal standpoint, they're basically about even home and away. So number 10 was Newcastle.
All right, I'll go first this time.
Go for it, Kristin.
I love Rafa Benitez, obviously. But I just think that Newcastle, again, just have more talent over the entire squad than Atlanta does. So I think Newcastle would win. But I think that their home leg, Atlanta could pull out a result at least.
I'm pretty similar. This was the first one where I seriously considered it and then ultimately came back to Rafa. I just, even though Tata Martino, Atlanta's manager, is no one to scoff at either, I just think Rafa finds a way to get a result there.
Especially in 2 legs. He's always been really good at knockout competitions.
Newcastle went 8-4-7 at home, 4-4-11 on the road. So number 11, going back to our earlier rant, Crystal Palace.
Oh, which Crystal Palace are they playing? The first 7 games or the rest of the season? Yeah, it depends. They were awful, historically awful to start the season. So I still think that they could get a result, but I think over 2 legs again, Atlanta just wouldn't have enough to push him over the line.
Yeah, and I think especially the way Crystal Palace was playing towards the end of the year, they were playing more towards where their talent actually is. And, they should be pushing for top half of the table with the players that they have on that side. So again, I have to give them I don't expect Atlanta to get a result there in 2 legs.
All right. So number 12, Bournemouth.
Dave, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. That's just so kind of you. This was the first one that I actually had Atlanta as a possibility to get a 2-legged result. They have, again, the home leg playing on turf in front of 70-some thousand people, I think gives them a home field advantage. They might be favored to win that leg, and then they could potentially get a draw on the road. So this was the first one where I said they could. I don't have them favored in this matchup. Bournemouth does have some very talented players, but this was the first one where Atlanta could potentially get a victory over 2 legs.
All right. I don't think that they would get this result just because, again, I love Eddie Howe, and I think that he would set his team up to just see out a result again. But I agree with you. The Cherries are just not used to those big stadiums, really, and they play in a tiny one, so Atlanta wouldn't really be as intimidated. But I still think Bournemouth over 2 legs are a better team.
I agree. I think Atlanta could squeak out a win on their home round, but I don't think they would win traveling to England. Number 13, the David Moyes West Ham United club.
All right, I'll take this one, Dave. I think that although I do not rate David Moyes as highly anymore, I still think West Ham are way too talented of a squad. I think of the last couple teams we went through, this is the most talented squad, and I think over 2 legs they would be able to beat them.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I actually don't think that they could. So whereas Bournemouth, I think that they had a chance. I don't know if they would have as much of a chance against West Ham. Although West Ham did get stretched and they might be able to, play their game a bit more. Atlanta would be. But again, yeah, I think West Ham gets the victory.
Fun fact, West Ham went 3-6-10 on the road last year. And had their fans turn on them at home. So that, I think they're going to have a
forever blowing bubbles over there. So
I think they've done enough changes here this summer. I think they're going to have a pretty good bounce back here.
Yeah, we talked about that on our preview podcast yesterday. Yes. So tune into that and you can hear our thoughts.
There's a good plug. I'll listen to it tomorrow when I get to work. 14th is Watford.
Dave, go ahead.
All right. This was another one similar to Bournemouth. I don't like what Watford has done in the transfer market. Deulofeu was a big get for them. I mean, he was there on loan, so it was good to get him in permanently. But beyond that, I think they're getting a bit older, and Atlanta might have a chance against this team, similar to Bournemouth. I don't know if they'd be favored again in this necessarily, but they could get a result over 2 legs.
This is the first one I think that they actually could win. I don't rate Watford very highly. I don't think that they do really good business. I don't think they have really star quality players.
You don't think Troy Deeney is a star player?
No, not at 45 years old, whatever he is now. I just don't think that they would get this result. I think Watford aren't that fast of a team, and Atlanta have a lot of pace and could trouble them.
All right, this is where it starts to get interesting. We get very close to the relegation zone. Brighton.
Christian, I went first last time.
Sure. Brighton,
thank you,
Dave. You are the best. I think Brighton are a very average team as well. I actually rate them a little bit higher than Watford, so I think Brighton would get the result over 2 legs. But again, I think it's a really, really close game. I don't think that there would be any blowouts. I don't think that there would be any problems going to Brighton, and Brighton would be intimidated by the turf field with 70,000 people watching them.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think that this one might be the first one where Atlanta might be even favored over 2 legs. So, I like them to get a result here for the reasons Christian highlighted.
Brighton went 2-5-12 on the road last year, and I'm not sure if they scored a goal during that time. Well, obviously they did in the 2 wins, but 16 Huddersfield Town.
All right, David, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. This is another one where I think they might be favored. I really like what Huddersfield has done in the transfer market this window. I think that they overperformed last season, and even with kind of retooling, I still expect them to go down this year. But David Wagner has been good for them. That's a little joke for anyone who listened to our podcast yesterday because I couldn't pronounce the damn name. I think Atlanta again. I think from here on out, I think most of these teams Atlanta could get a result against and might even be favored.
I agree. And for the side note, Troy Deeney is actually 30 years old.
What?
Yeah. Yes, born June 29th, 1988.
Yeah, he seems so old. I don't even understand. Like the way he moves just looks old too. I don't understand.
I remember I did that. I had that moment in my life where I was at a Phoenix Suns game, and one of the players, I'm like, man, that guy's still in the league. He must be old as hell. And then I look at it, and he's 2 months younger than I am. Like, crap. It just seems like he's, old because he came into the league when he was like 18, and now he's, 33. It's like, ugh. So I think I think we got our point across. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this segment. I guess we're gonna play some music.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. So we'll see you back after the break.
All right. Very good. Awesome. There you go. Awesome. I think that went well. That was an interesting discussion. I didn't realize you were going to do it like in that way, and I think it went really well though.
Yeah. That's rapid fire.
Yeah.
I tried to move it as quickly as I could.
Awesome.
But yeah, towards the bottom, it was just it's like same.
I think we get the point. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that was a really interesting discussion. Okay, and then we got this.
I didn't even read off my stats. I had some really good stats here.
Do you want to
save them for the next segment?
Yeah, we can either do that or I can. Well, yeah, let's do that because that'll make my life easier with editing. So I'll welcome us back, and then before I get into my topics, I'll go to you for some of the stats. Does that work?
Yeah, this will take like probably 2 minutes at most, so it'll be quick.
Okay. Kristin, you good?
I'm just great.
You're fantastic. Hello. Who's that?
Couldn't be better.
That's my dog.
Yeah. Awesome.
The couch behind is the dog couch, and she's expressing her frustration that she can't get to her couch right now. So, tough.
All right.
Sounded like a screaming goat.
Okay. All right. Well, you good? Now that you're done insulting his dog?
No, it's just,
I insult my dog every day.
Welcome. We good? All right, I'll do that. I'll do that one again. Welcome back, everyone, to our third and final segment. Before I get to talking about my topics, wanted to kick it back over to DJ. We missed a couple really interesting stats that he wants to share with us from the last segment. So, DJ?
I was so excited to end the segment that I forgot to read off the stats that I dug around and found. So looking back at last year's Premier League season, any of you want to guess what the most common scores, end of game scores were?
2-1.
I'm
Kristin?
going 3-1.
The two common scores for Premier League games were 1-1, there were 45 of them, and 1-0, which there were 44 of those.
That sucks.
Yeah, and I know it. So 1/3 of the halftime scores were actually 0-0, but only 30 games finished that way. And of the matches last year, 46% of the games ended in the home side winning, 28% resulted in the away side winning, and 26% ended in a draw. So it was actually a little bit more likely that the away side would win than the game would end in a draw, which is kind of wild. So those are my stats on the Premier League season.
Awesome. Fun facts there. We appreciate
Getting ready for this weekend.
Yeah, Premier League is back next week. So we are pumped about that.
Waking up at 4 a.m. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Can't wait.
That sucks for you guys.
I'm up anyway feeding babies. Joke's on you.
Yeah.
Oh, It's on me.
No,
Never
wait,
mind.
no.
All right. So, yeah. And so for anyone who doesn't know, we did a Premier League preview show yesterday. So please go check that out if you haven't listened already. But I want to talk about Serie A real quick, and specifically Inter. They've been doing some really interesting things in the transfer market. They unfortunately lost out to Arturo Vidal. He ended up at Barcelona, but they have signed Raja Nainggolan from AS Roma. They signed Simi Vrsaljko, the talented outside back for Serbia. No, not Serbia. Croatia. Yep.
Wow.
Croatia. I know. I always get that.
He was in the World
Damn
Cup
it.
final, Dave.
I know he was, and I knew it wasn't right. But he's
That was
from
a month
Atletico.
ago. Not even.
Atletico Madrid, and reportedly Luka Modric. They're after him as well. So, Kristin, wanted to get your thoughts. What do you make of Inter? You know, their transfer offseason. Can they make a run and really challenge Juve for a title in Serie A?
They have made the right signings. They have really, really strengthened their spine. I think that they've got a lot of quality just throughout their team. I think Milan is doing similar business, not as much as Inter, but Milan also improved. So that'll be nice to see the Milan derby this year. But I don't think that they're ready yet. I still think Juventus are too strong. They signed one of the top 2 players in the world and one of the top 10 players ever, probably. So Juventus are stronger as well. They got Bonucci back as well. So it's going to be really tough for anyone to stop Juventus from winning the Serie A title again. But Inter are making the right moves. And I think over the next 2, maybe 3 years, they're going to be challenging consistently again.
DJ, thoughts on Inter here?
You know, I don't watch a lot of Serie A because there's not a lot of legal ways to do it. But I'm going to speak strictly from the compulsive gambler that I am. Doing a little research into this. Every major bookie across the world is more or less crowned Juve already as the champion, and it's not even close. For Inter, there's a little bit more, they're not sure. Basically, the best they have them at is second, and a distant second, and a lot of them actually have them still hanging around 4th place like they did last year. They're 20 points back of Juventus. Do I think they close the gap? Yeah, probably. Do they finish? Can they beat them? No way.
I think that's pretty much where I come down, Kristin. I think you hit the nail on the head, saying they're probably 2 or 3 years away. If they get consistent Champions League football, Champions League soccer over the next couple of years, well, I don't know why I try to go European there. Over the next couple of years, they build up their bank and they can attract, players like that. I think they can get back to challenging like they were kind of, almost a decade ago at this point. They've really fallen off. But yeah. Go ahead,
Sorry,
Kristin.
I also wanted to just highlight 2 other signings that they've made. Both were free transfers, were Stefan de Vrij and Asamoah, who came from Juventus. So they really have improved at the back, and just to create a stable back line and then push forward. They got Nainggolan right in front of them now too. So I still think that they could add a little bit more of attacking flair. But they have Perisic and Icardi. They have some players who are talented already and are being linked with moves away. They can keep hold of them. I still think 2 years, but they're ready.
Yeah, and Roma is still exceptionally talented.
Napoli
I mean, they've lost
as well.
players. Napoli, who lost their manager, but again, they still have really talented rosters. So again, I think they're still a couple years away from challenging. DJ, anything else you want to add here?
Nope.
All right, Kristin?
No, Dave, please carry on.
Thank you so much. All right, last topic I want to talk about. Let's circle back to the MLS All-Star Game discussion, but specifically talk about one instance that Twitter was freaking out about, and it seemed like a lot of people were up in arms about. During the first half, Brad Guzan, who was MLS goalkeeper, had a earpiece and a microphone and could talk to the announcers during the game. DJ, what were your thoughts on Guzan during the match being able to be interviewed and kind of getting that perspective? People were, so let's just leave it there. What were your thoughts on?
I look at it from 2 perspectives here. I think from my perspective, who watches games regularly, who not a fan of cheesy gimmicks, that was a cheesy gimmick if I've ever seen one. The only thing that I actually laughed at was they were talking to him and they're like, oh, well, maybe we should let him take this goal kick before we talk to him again. I cracked up at that. But from the perspective of I'm not really a fan, I'm kind of curious as to what this is, I think that was good from that perspective. But honestly, I'm not sure how many non-fans were really tuning into this. But I mean, it's just, I don't know. You can only do this kind of situation where it's a friendly that means absolutely nothing. and you can only do it with a goalkeeper. It's
Christian, thoughts on this?
I think it's weird. I like the part where he was talking to him and he was like, I need you to stop talking, please. It was funny, but it's just weird to me because goalkeepers have to keep their focus at every second, and to do that just is really bizarre. I don't think it matters, obviously, in a game like this, so you're able to do that. And it was unique. It was something different, so it was worth a shot. But I don't know if I agree with the decision to do this and carry on with it maybe in the future with other friendly matches.
Yeah, for me, I thought it was interesting. Like you guys said, if they're going to do it, this is the time to do it. I don't think it says anything bad about MLS or whatever. Like, people were trying to equate it.
It's like a comedy show.
Yeah, people were trying to like equate it to like this is an indictment on the league or something like that. This is just something that they tried. For me, I found it personally fascinating, not him being interviewed, but more his communication with his defenders that he was trying to do and all of that. And so for me, like I'm a sucker for those mic'd up videos of players and just hearing kind of how they communicate and talk and move throughout the game. And so for me, that was probably the most fascinating thing from all this. And it wasn't that big of a deal for me. I know people were freaking out. DJ, anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, is it me? I mean, maybe it was just the microphone or the way it was set up, but is it me or is Brad Guzan picking up a little bit of a British accent?
Oh, God, he has the Brad Friedel disease.
Yeah.
I'm like the dudes from Chicago. I lived in Chicago for almost a decade. I have never heard anyone from Chicago talk like that before. But I mean, he did live in England for 7 or 8 years, something like that.
Yeah.
See, pick up a little bit of an accent there, but I thought that was kind of funny.
Like, I went to Penn State, and then when I came back to the Philly area, like I feel like I've picked up a slight Philly accent since I've been back, which is just weird to me over the last 4 years since I've been back. So that just happens, but it's a little weird when it's a foreign accent and like it's just a weird combination. But I guess it does happen. We've seen it with 2 of our goalkeepers at the international level.
Like Chicago.
Christian, did you have something else to add before that?
I did. I was going to address the point you brought up where you're a sucker for the videos where people are mic'd up.
Yep.
I really love that, and I wish they would do that more, but I don't think that they should be interviewing and talking to them at the moment. I just like to hear what they actually are instructing their other players or just how they communicate with each other. I know that referees in rugby have microphones on them all the time, and you're actually able to hear it when you watch rugby, which is really, really different. And I'm shocked, but they could never do that in soccer just because of the way that players talk to the referees, and they would have to bleep out every single thing.
Yeah, rugby does it so well. Like, they do so many things well. With the captain's the only person that can talk to the referee. The replay system is really good. I mean, rugby is doing a lot of really awesome things from that perspective. DJ, anything else you want to add here?
Yeah, I mean, the mic'd up is I like that, but yeah, there would definitely be concern about 7-second delays and all that. I mean, NASCAR is probably the first big organization that in the country that lets you listen in on what everybody's thinking by tapping the radios, and from time to time you hear one of the crew members drop an F-bomb after somebody does something, or the driver dropping an F-bomb. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a player mic'd up, like Christian said, but yeah, this interview, it's just whatever. Like, that was an experiment. It failed.
All right. Christian, anything else you want to add?
Nope.
All right, cool. Before we get to our listener questions, wanted to give a couple of quick plugs. I'm the founder of FanFutsal, which is a simplified fantasy soccer website. With the Premier League starting back up, we have a FanFutsal tournament going on, so please go check that out. We have you select 5 teams instead of 8 to 11 individual players for your weekly fantasy lineups. Scoring is simplified, so you don't need to follow all kind of individual player statistics. You just need to follow match scores, but we still have lineup differentiation and strategy by having different formations and positions. So check it out. It's kind of a cool, unique, interesting way to play fantasy soccer. We are adding, anyone out there who's listening, we are adding FanFutsal experts for all the leagues that we cover.
Who does that?
The 2 main, Christian is one of the experts. We just picked up 3 more today, so that's awesome. 1 Bundesliga and 2 Premier League. But if you have any interest, it's maybe 10 minutes a week. If you already follow the league, it's not really a ton of additional work. We just need you to populate a file, and it would be awesome to have more people involved. Again, the 2 main North American leagues, MLS and Liga MX, and then the 5 major European leagues. So anyone who is interested in doing that, again, maybe 10 minutes a week. If you want to devote more, that'd be fantastic, but it's only 10 minutes. So please let us know. You can get in contact with us from all our emails and whatnot, social media. But again, that's Fan Futsal. Circling back to what I was originally talking about, FANFUTSAL.com. Also, please check out the Soccer Tavern YouTube channel where I have videos about the history, culture, and philosophy of the beautiful game. We have Premier League club history videos, again, sticking on the Premier League theme. We have videos about all 20 Premier League teams. Our Wolves video will be out on Friday of this week. And we already have all the other 19. And we have other videos about, soccer terminology. Where did the term nutmeg come from? Why is it called a pitch? We have videos about the origins of the sport of soccer. So please go check that out. Again, it's linked in the video description. And the origin, I know. The origins. So please go check that out as well. Guys, let's get to our listener questions. First one comes from @Glenn Lawrence, devoted listener. Thank you, Glenn. I know you've interacted with us in the past, so we always appreciate you. Even though it won't happen this year, if Draxler were to leave to go to, sorry, my thing got cut off, were to leave PSG, do you think he'd thrive more at a club like Arsenal or go back to Germany and going to the juggernaut that is Bayern? DJ, any thoughts there?
I mean, Draxler, he's 24 years old. I mean, he's clearly a young talent. Honestly, I thought of this more as, there's always been the rumors from the moment that Neymar stepped in Paris that he is going to leave and go back to like Real Madrid. I almost was wondering is, if he holds out, Neymar leaves, that want him to stay at PSG. And that was the first thing that came to mind when I thought of that. I don't follow the French league. I follow Italy very closely, but I mean, to me, I would almost think that going back to Bayern and being in Germany would be probably the preferred route. I mean, we've seen how the German players going to Arsenal has gone, but then again, that was under a different manager. So I don't know. I still think he'd probably thrive better at Bayern and probably be more appreciated at Bayern.
Kristin, thoughts?
Okay, so are those the only two options?
That was the only two he threw out, but I mean, hey, this is your time. You can do whatever you want with it.
Oh, we're back in Christian's corner here. This is fun. All right. I think that he would in this scenario, I think he would moving to Arsenal would be better for his career. That's just how I feel. He has Özil there, and he has Mustafi there. There's German players that are in that squad already, so he could just hop in and feel kind of at home. Would have a little bit of the culture there, but if I was him, I'd want to go to a team more like Dortmund or Schalke, teams that are in the Champions League, not the juggernaut that is Bayern Munich.
He came from Schalke.
Okay, but go back. There's no problem with that. I mean, they're in the Champions League now, and he's incredibly talented, and he would be a star there in his home country.
Yeah, so I think I'm kind of in agreement with you. So I actually have never been that high on Julian Draxler. I think he reminds me a lot of Julian Brandt in that they're really talented, like youth players.
Pronunciation of that first name.
Julian? Brandt? Yeah.
You said Julian.
Okay. Jesus Christ. So
your German is just slipping.
Yeah, well, do you want me to speak German on this thing? Is that what we're talking about? Hello.
I'm just going to kick back. I'm just going to sit back here.
So, I've never been that high on him. I mean, he's a very talented player, but I never thought he was like this world-class, next level player. Glenn, I think, is a big fan, so I apologize if that upsets you. So for me, I think Arsenal might be a good fit for him. Going back to Bayern, there's going to be a ton of pressure. I think that there are Ribery and Robin are being phased out, and, Draxler plays that position, so he could fit in there. But again, I don't know if he has that level of talent to be the star at Bayern. I think a club like Arsenal, who is very, very talented, but they're just not quite at that level, I think might be a better fit for him. So, I'll get a shot at Julian Draxler and Arsenal in there, which I did not mean to do. Other question comes from, I'm sorry, I'm going to try to pronounce this, at Maholkar Ameya. Maholkar Ameya. Sorry. Yeah. He said, or he or she, I think it's a he. Thoughts on this person said thoughts. The right?
Oh,
Z. That's what we're supposed to say. Z. Thoughts on Mourinho and Martial relationship. DJ, I know you're the United fan, so I'm sure you have thoughts here. What do you make of it?
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and I hate going, there's both sides are at fault, but really both sides are at fault here. And it sounds like a cop-out answer, but Jose, he's a jerk. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with. He's probably his own family thinks he's a jerk. I mean, you see that press conference after the Liverpool match in Michigan a couple of weeks ago, where he just threw the whole, this is the relegated team, and that was like, the guy just does not have an ounce of class in him at all. But you look at Martial.
Can you blame him? He's coached Inter, Madrid, Chelsea, United. Those are the worst teams in the world. Those are like the worst.
Walks around calling himself the special one. I mean, look at Martial. I don't know how old he is now, 20, 21, something like that, 22. Yeah. I mean, he's young. He's very young.
He's only 21.
He's very talented, but he's also very cocky. You can see when he gets frustrated out there, he kind of checks out. And, you have a manager that, with that kind of temperament and mentality, with a player who kind of checks out like that, it never goes well. I mean, honestly, if they could loan him out for a while and just wait it out, because, Jose is going to he's either going to win the league this year, or it's just going to be a spectacular blow up and he's going to get sacked at the end of the year. There's no in between as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think it's more likely the latter. But
yeah, I agree with you. I mean, he usually lasts about 3 years, and then he's done. He's destroyed his goodwill with everybody, and it's you can see it's already with that press conference. It's already starting to trickle out. And if you could get Martial out there, you bring in a coach who's better with developing players, working with their egos. I think you could get more out of him, but. I mean, Martial, he had a child. He flew back to the UK. Allegedly, he didn't tell the club. He just kind of snuck out in the middle of the night. Allegedly, this is what's being reported. And then he had no effort. Yeah, didn't want to come back to the US. And Jose was upset about it. And, it's communication. It's two-way street. Yeah, he shouldn't have, snuck out in the middle of the night. But at the same time, he's going to have his kid or, It's just it's such a complicated situation. I just think as long as Jose's around, Martial should probably go somewhere else for the sake of his career.
Christian, thoughts on the relationship?
Yeah, it's kind of shot at this point, and we have seen Mourinho with players before. He does not forgive. He will never forget. He is just going to hold this over Martial from now on. So Martial is going to have to either leave or just wait 3 months because Mourinho won't be there much longer.
Yeah, I think I don't have too much else to add. I thought the whole thing, especially the way that it played out in the media and the comments that were made, I felt like I saw somewhere that they were downplaying it because it was his second child. So the fact that this was Martial's second child,
still his child, who cares?
Yeah, there was just a lot of really interesting things. Yeah, Martial is not completely innocent here. He definitely, did some things, but I tend to fault Jose a bit more in this whole situation. And I think for United and Martial, the best thing is to go out on loan because I think that he was supremely talented. I touted him as a future Ballon d'Or winner a couple of years ago because he was 19 and tearing it up. And, then Jose came in and just stunted his career. But if they can bring in, a more exciting manager, or he can go somewhere else that, maybe utilizes his talents.
He should loan back to Monaco.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you guys. Christian, do you want to recap our trivia question?
Yeah, can I ask a question before we move along?
Of course.
Can I hear your top 4 predictions, TJ, this season?
Top 4 predictions? I think City wins again.
Trivia. I'll do the trivia question first.
Yeah, give me a sec.
Yeah, give him a second. Put him on the spot.
I got 3 out of 4.
Trivia question this week was, what is the highest and lowest attendance single game in Premier League history? So dating back to 1992 was the start.
Okay.
What team and what was the amount? Sorry, I just want to throw that.
Yep. So I'll give my guesses while DJ is working. I'm gonna say Tottenham versus Arsenal at Wembley, and it was like 85,000. And then lowest would be Bournemouth versus somebody else with like 11,500.
Okay.
DJ,
please go ahead.
I keep forgetting Spurs played at Wembley. I'm like, is that a neutral game count? No. God, it really put me on the spot. spot here. I feel like it's going to be the lowest is going to be some obscure team that we haven't seen in the Premier League.
Oh, wait, Dave, what was your answer? Sorry, I forget.
What?
What was your lowest
Bournemouth.
answer?
Yeah, Bournemouth.
Okay.
It's going to be some obscure team we haven't seen in the Premier League in years, like a Wigan or somebody like that, where, it was. I'm just going to say Wigan because I have no clue.
Wigan and Blackburn used to have an empty stadium.
Yeah. It's going to be like Wigan in 1997 or something like that. And I don't even know if they were in the Premier League that year. But I'm going to say on the low end, it'll be like a Wigan at 8,000. I'm just pulling this out of my ass. And then on the high end, we'll say not Manchester City. Ooh, just kidding.
That doesn't count as an answer.
God, it almost seems like a Spurs versus.
Dave, you want to start that clock again?
just give us a guess, please.
All right, I don't know. I'll say Spurs. Damn it. Spurs versus United at 83. I don't know.
All right.
I have no.
All right. So the highest attendance was Tottenham versus Arsenal at Wembley this season, and it was 83,222 people.
I got the number right.
And
that was
Dave
close.
got the game. And then the lowest ever attendance was in the first season, January 1993.
Damn.
It was at Selhurst Park, but it was back when they were Wimbledon against Everton. They had 3,039 people there.
Wow. Fun fact: AFC Bournemouth has the smallest stadium. That's why I went with them in Premier League history, and I knew that from my Soccer Tavern video. So if you want more fun facts like that, go check out the Soccer Tavern. DJ, thank you so much for being here. Can you please remind people about StadiumScene.tv, where to find you and all that?
My top four?
Oh yeah, sorry.
I do want your top four.
All right, top four. I'm just going to throw this out there with little to no research behind this. City 1, Liverpool 2, Spurs 3, United 4.
Okay,
right.
Good choices.
Awesome. Can you remind people where to find Stadium Scene?
Well, you can come and follow us on social media at Stadium Scene on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, at Stadium_Scene on Instagram. That's a long story. Visit us again at StadiumScene.tv, where you're going to see all the best up-and-coming podcast bloggers and videos in the sports world, like the Soccer Tavern or Bros Talking Soccer or the Lads or many other sports. So go check that out. Follow us.
Absolutely. And we have that linked in the podcast description, so you definitely want to go check them out. Kristin, thank you for being here and talking with me this week.
Dave, it was a pleasure as always.
Yes. DJ, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Listeners, thank you for being here. If you want to get in contact with us, our Twitter handles at BT Soccer Pods, mainly Kristin and I interacting with you all on there, and we would love to hear from you. So please follow us there.
You'll never be able to tell which one of us is talking.
You will 100% be able to tell who is
100
talking.
always percent.
100 always percent. If the person is somewhat cordial and interacting with you in a nice way, that's generally me. If somebody's using a GIF and coming pretty hard with his opinion, that is generally Kristin on the Bros
That just
Talking
doesn't
side.
sound right. I don't believe that.
If you want to get in contact with us via email, our email is bros.talking.soccer@gmail.com. Please check out our website, brostalkingsoccerpodcast.com. You can read about us, check out past episodes. And if you want to support the show, no additional cost to you. If you're buying anything on Amazon, go to Bros Talking Soccer, click on our store, click the link to Amazon, and anything you buy, we just get a small percentage back from that. It's an affiliate link. Again, no additional cost to you. It just helps us support the show and all of that. So please go check that out. We also have some recommendations on some books that, soccer books that I have read and recommend. Video games. I know Kristin just bought Crash Bandicoot, whatever trilogy. What was it?
Insane Trilogy.
So we have that in there and just some other things that we like. So
we're
please go
collecting
check.
crystals, just like Dave.
Yes, we're collecting crystals. Oh yeah, where's my crystal? I didn't have our crystal. So hopefully this was still a positive vibe because my obsidian crystal's over there. Guys, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Kristin and DJ, thank you guys so much. And listeners, thank you. I hope everybody has a great day and we will talk to you next week. See you, everybody. All right. People on YouTube, if anybody happens to still be watching this, see ya. Thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you all next week. See you,
Beggin
everybody.
strips.
There you go.
Beggin
Beggin.